Well, folks, we are back here again with this topic on the Political Napalm channel on YouTube. And it is once again, we are dealing with the January 6th footage that is now out in the public. The first time we dealt with this topic was when Tucker Carlson was displaying some of the footage that he got prior to his split with Fox News. He was displaying some of the footage then, and there were narratives trying to spin up that, oh, Jacob Chansley, aka Qanon Shaman, was in fact innocent. Here he is being led around by the police, and he's being escorted, and does this look violent to you, and blah, 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 blah. And I had to do a video reminding people that it doesn't matter what cops were alongside Jacob as he was being escorted or shadowed around the halls of the Capitol building. The fact that he went through those doors, along with people who went through those windows, he was guilty of felony obstruction of a legal proceeding because he was part of a group of people that breached the Capitol that caused that session of Congress to break and pause. Felony obstruction of a legal proceeding. It didn't matter that he tried to stop somebody from going into a gift shop and stealing a Capitol pen. None of that matters because his commission of the crime was already sealed and recorded more times than you can possibly count. So we had to deal with the misinformation and the disinformation that came about from the Tucker footage many, many months ago. Well, now recently, Speaker Johnson has released 40,000 hours of Capitol CCTV footage out of the 44,000 hours that the Capitol Police currently have. There's 4,000 hours that have not been released, and it has been said that those 4,000 hours is not released to protect the inner workings of the Capitol building, secret places, and just to protect people and places that are involved. Of course, the right-wing spin machine is already out in force trying to spin J6 again, just like they did with the Tucker footage, and just like they did with the Tucker footage, it is amounting in a giant nothing burger and is actually backfiring on many right-wing social media accounts, including our lovely friend Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we're going to get into that in a moment. So a little bit of history. In the first video, I talked about the narratives that were being spun about for J6 in the early days of J6 itself and the few days after. And overall, from J6 until today, the narrative has gone through several shifts over the years. On day one, it was these people are Antifa, they're BLM. Antifa and BLM riots, patriots don't riot, Trumpers don't riot. What Trumper looks like these people? What patriot would be wearing a mask? You know, we don't believe in COVID precautions, so, you know, blah, 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 blah. A quick little sum up of the disinformation that occurred on J6 from right-wing rhetoric spewing accounts. One, Jacob Chansley over here in the middle of this picture, Qanon Shaman. Oh, he can't be a Trumper. He can't be a quote-unquote patriot. He must be Antifa BLM. What Antifa or BLM person doesn't dress like this? Patriots don't dress like this. Trumpers don't dress like this. Well, we know who this is now. It is the Qanon Shaman. We know his guilty plea. We know he's trying to run for Congress. And we know he served out his time. Don't be fooled. Don't be swayed. He was not let out early. Both him and his lawyer confirm he served the time that he was being forced to serve. His release to a middle transitional halfway house was right on schedule and was not early. The Tucky Wuckham's footage did nothing. It changed Jacob's fate not one iota. So that was one of the pieces of disinformation the right wing tried to spew on J 6th. Next to him, to the left in this picture, with the yellow shirt and what appears to be a long beard, the tattooed hands, that guy on the left, people said, well, he's Antifa BLM too. Look at his hand. It's a hammer and sickle tattoo. Hammer and sickle is Russia. It's communism. Communism is above socialism. Socialism is above liberalism. There you go. He's a commie. He's a leftist. No. That tattoo on his hand, right over here, the one closest to Jacob, is the symbol of the game Dishonored. It is the symbol of the game Dishonored by Arcane Studios, and clearly this person is a fan of the series. It was not a hammer and sickle. It was a symbol. And if you think that, oh, well, I think of gaming as a liberal thing and blah, blah, blah. Gaming goes through all walks of life, all ages, all genders, all kinds of people. You have Jamie Lee Curtis going in costume to Blizzard's Comic-Con undercover. You might be walking by Jamie Lee Curtis and never know it. Henry Cavill, Mila Kunis. Robin Williams named his daughter Zelda after the game Legend of Zelda. Gaming goes across all boundaries. And yes, this person is a Trumper and also a fan of the Dishonored game series by Arcane Studios. This guy on the right with the dark clothing, the red hat, and the flag, this guy is Bring Your Work Badge to the Insurrection guy. He was discovered in terms of his name and who he was because this badge right here underneath his flag arm is a work badge and it had his name on it. So they tracked him down where he worked and he got busted there. All three of these frontline guys are Trumpers. They all had narratives attempted to be spun around them and it all failed, and everybody who propagated them looks like an idiot. This guy over here with the glasses and the mask, I believe this guy, and his name might be Nick, this was a guy they tried to peg as Antifa also. They tried to say that he's Antifa because we have a picture of him wearing a shirt that says Antifa. It's actually not true. The picture in its unedited form said Antifa sucks, and he's a known racist, Nazi-level trash bag by the Southern Poverty Law Center. They have a file on him. They knew exactly who he was. The picture that said Antifa was cropped and edited, and it actually said Antifa sucks. So all four of these people, this guy, Dishonored guy, Qanon Shaman, I'm sorry, that was his hair that I was saying was a beard, and Bring Your Badge to the Insurrection guy, they were all Trumpers. And all of the narratives were debunked about them. Well, the right-wing rhetoric machine is trying it again and is failing again to do it. So one of the big ones that is coming out now is, oh, look at this guy. He's on camera as having flashed his Fed badge. He's wearing a Trumper hat to be undercover, and he's an instigator, and he's a plant, and he's wearing, and he's flashing his FBI badge at the camera. Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the people promoting this and has since deleted her tweet that had the picture because of the fact that it wasn't actually a Fed. So here, from her actual congressional account, not a personal one, from her congressional account, her with her horse face and Yeti 4 toes that she has, is trying to say right here in this picture, this is a Fed flashing his badge at the camera, sort of gloating that he was being an instigator that day. That is not true. It's a VAPE. This was the original tweet that she did. This is a law enforcement badge in his hand while disguised as a Trump supporter in a MAGA hat. I've said it all along, MAGA didn't do this. She's now edited the tweet and removed the false claim and the image. However, she still has, I've said it all along, MAGA did not do this. This is 100% not true. This guy is, in fact, Kevin Lyons, a 40-year-old father from Chicago who was previously found guilty of felony count of obstruction of official proceeding, just like I just told you, along with disorderly and disruptive conduct in a restricted building and entering and remaining in said restricted building. That guy, the supposed Fed with the badge, got sentenced to 51 months, which is 4 years and 3 months in a federal prison, saying that it was very rare for her to have a defendant appear before her, describe their childhood as perfect as Lyons did, and Lyons says, "I have no excuse for my conduct." Now, with this Howell that we're talking about over here is the judge. Judge Howell said it was absurd that Lyons joined the mob in heckling officers, calling them effing Nazi bastards and SS people, given that the attack on the Capitol was actually conducted by fascist people. It wasn't the cops who were fascist. It was the aggressors, the patriots, quote unquote, the Trumpers, that were in fact the Nazis and the fascists. Judge Howell said it was bizarrely ironic for Lyons to refer to the officers as Nazis, even though the shoe was on the other foot. Lyons recorded himself having stolen a wallet from a staff member's jacket and took a framed photograph that was a gift given to Nancy Pelosi after John Lewis had died. He went and took pictures of him holding the photograph and sent it to his friends, bragging about what he had done, including taking the cash, taking the picture, and said, I'm pretty confident I'm going to be a multiple felon at this time. He was right. He predicted that correctly. Kevin Lyons spoke to the judge before his sentencing, explaining why he owed thousands of dollars in child support. Judge Howell said he would have been working to pay what he owed instead of traveling to D.C. and then joining the riot, and he felt a lot of shame for that. So the party of Protect the Children put their children in jeopardy to pay to go to an insurrection. Here's another lovely scene of J6. We may actually see more of this guy in a little bit. So before we get into the next section of this video, I just want to make it very, very clear, as I did the first time we dealt with this topic. No amount of gaslighting or narrative changing or right-wing spew rhetoric, right-wing sphere stuff is going to change what we saw on J6. No amount of peaceful moments either in or out of the Capitol go against what we saw when cops were losing their footing behind barriers and having to go back and back and back and had their backs up against the Capitol itself and were being bear sprayed and beat with their own shields, beat with improvised weapons like canes and crutches. There were actually guns at the insurrection. Guns were intercepted going to the insurrection the day before. That's part of what was going on with Enrique Tarrio's stuff. This was planned. It was orchestrated. We have guilt and jail time for the people who were doing it. Nothing can unring that bell. Nothing Tucker or Johnson or Marjorie Taylor Greene or any of these people can tell you unring the bell of what happened that day. People saw it with their own two eyes on TV, the way we saw 9/11 happening. Once people started recording the World Trade Center, we continued to see exactly what happened the whole rest of the day until it was over. Nobody can convince you that both of those buildings are still there. No, it didn't happen. Totally didn't happen at all. They're actually still there. Freedom Plaza, no, that doesn't exist. It is very, very similar to what happened with Woodstock 1999. J6 and Woodstock 1999, very, very similar. You can see a picture over here from potentially an early concert at Woodstock 99. This looks okay. It looks like a lot of people. There's Fred Durst. It's Limp Bizkit. However, Limp Bizkit's Break Stuff was one of the instigating songs that made things really, really bad. Watch Trainwreck on Netflix. It goes into a lot of detail on this. But you can see that picture. You can see this picture. You can see this picture. And you're like, this doesn't look bad. I don't even see muddy people. This looks like happy people at a concert. These pictures don't negate this. It doesn't negate MTV feared for their lives and left early. I watched Woodstock 99 on TV. I saw a lot of the coverage. I'm a former New Yorker. Woodstock, all of them hold a place with me because they were occurring in my home state. This is just mud. But the fires, the sexual assaults, there were women who were abused at Woodstock 99. In the mosh pit, thrown around and abused. You see a picture like this in the aftermath, that is not negated by this. Sometimes, the right-wing sphere they'll show you a 69 picture over here and be like, see, Woodstock was completely peaceful, look at it. And you'll discover like, okay, yeah, well, that was a 1969 picture, not a 99 picture. Nice try. These pictures here don't negate these pictures, but that's what the right wing will try to tell you about J6. Look at that. That's something bad is happening here. And if you know about Woodstock 99, you know this is probably just the start of when things started to go bad. But here's something else that I've mentioned at times briefly when talking about J6 footage. Parler was a social media app that existed for a while and still had existed at this time in 2021. It was still going on January 6th of 2021. It would eventually go under, much like Truth Social is going under right now. Parler was a very, very insecure app. A lot of people on the right wing, on the MAGA side, ultra MAGA conservatives, however you want to refer to them, they wanted a place to find home. They felt they were not at home on Facebook. They felt they were not at home at Twitter, that it was very left-leaning, liberal-leaning, etc. So they wanted their own home, and they found it on things like Frank Speech and Telegram and Rumble and things like that. Well, Parler tried to come around and be sort of the Facebook for the right-wingers. Come over here, ye faithful. We have a home for you over here. But Parler was very insecure. A lot of boomers had issues signing up for the accounts. They're like, what do you mean my password needs to have a special character? They didn't know what a special character was. It asked for things like credit card information, I think even social security numbers. Parler was very insecure. For a site that asked the things that Parler asked for, their security was terrible. So, Parler got scraped and dumped, not hacked, but using verifiable tools, above the table legal tools. Parler was very easily scraped and the data was dumped onto the web for everybody to see. And that included all of the videos live streamed and recorded through the Parler app by the phones of the people who were committing J6. Now, the people who have Parler unless they were accounts like Parlor Takes on Twitter and everything, the people who were monitoring the cesspit that was Parler and then reporting it back to people. Unless you were one of those monitor accounts, the people on Parler were Trumpers. They were MAGA. They were conservatives. So if you're going to see footage from Parler on J6, you know exactly who is filming it, and that's what we're going to take a look at. On projects.propublica.org/parler-capital-videos, there is a lovely dump of the footage recorded by Parlerites on January 6th, with the earliest starting at about noon and ending at about 6 o'clock. Everything is clickable. There's volume. You can do around DC footage. You can do near the Capitol footage. You can do inside the Capitol footage. If you go around DC, there's a lot of stuff in the beginning during the speeches because they were not yet at the Capitol. And you can jump around and see what things were, further from the Capitol building, like in the back and everything. This guy over here, that is a Camp Auschwitz shirt. Let's back this up a little bit. You see this here, that skull, that writing? I know who this guy is. This guy has a very, very famous picture taken of him at J6. That shirt says Camp Auschwitz. How vile and completely disgusting is that? And if you don't believe me, because it was hard to see there in that small video, all you need to do is just Google it. I think she's already gone through her courts and been found guilty. There's Camp Auschwitz guy. So this is what it's like around the Capitol, not being in it. It looks like she's cried or maybe been she's probably been tear gassed. This guy probably in a hotel somewhere after getting, leaving, more footage of people leaving and everything like that. Now, so that's around DC. When you go to near the Capitol, you can see somebody beginning to take apart barricades and yelling at the cops. And let's listen in on this one a little bit. Pushing the cops back, yelling at them, saying your days are numbered, calling them traitors. It looks like there's a bit of a surge towards the cops right at the end of this video. Watch what happens here. Yep, see? It looks like there's either the person filming goes back in the crowd or he gets pushed up. So this is about 2 o'clock. People are going through the barricades. People are getting waved in. That's not a Capitol police officer. There's a Q flag just went by over there. We've seen upside down America's in distress US flags. We've seen Don't Tread on Me ones. We've seen Q ones. We've seen Trump ones as Rambo. We've seen the Punisher logo with the US flag colors. And these, in this footage, there's some Don't Tread on Me ones and everything. Okay, perfect photo. Let's listen on this one. Let's look at this video here. Look what just happened. Cops and pepper spray. Pepper spray right at a cop, right at a face shield. More agitation, squeezing in the cops over here. The cops are pinched. They're a hot dog. They're a hot dog in between Trumper buns over here. There's Trumpers over there. Trumpers in the front of them. Somebody from the back group tried to reach into the cops over there. This guy's been sprayed. You can definitely see agitation in this footage. Here's some smoke, or perhaps a chemical irritant had gone off. Now look at what happens when we do inside the Capitol. Here is one of the initial push-ins through the broken windows and the broken doors at about 2:14. You're going to see somebody now infamous in just a few moments, right around, I think, second 28 or so. This guy here with the black and white plaid. Women yelling 1776. There he is. That guy's famous at this point. There's hammers breaking down the window. This one. Our house. Hold the line. So everybody in these inside the Capitol videos is guilty of felony obstruction of a legal proceeding. Just like Jacob was, just like Arcane Studios guy, just like Bring Your Badge to the Insurrection guy, all guilty of felony obstruction. There's Jacob Chansley right there. That's Qanon Shaman. That's his brown pants. That's the badge guy. That's yellow sweatshirt guy with the hand tattoos. This one is really bad. I'm going to warn you right now that this one is a little on the rougher side. Started over at the beginning. WWE style chair throwing. You heard it. You scared now, MFer. They prevent the gates from closing. They push back after the cops. There's some bottled water over there, pushing the gate up. And then you will see a lot of footage like this, where they are, eventually they'll start getting into the halls. This clip over here, in this about minute of footage, I think potentially the guy with this guy, I think might be in this footage. It might actually be this gray hoodie guy with, what is that in his back pocket? When I catch glances of it, it looks sort of like a screwdriver, but I'm not really too sure. This is where you start to see a march towards some of the interior hallways of the building where people's offices are. One of these pieces of footage has the infamous video of the guy picking up the phone and saying, "Where's Pelosi? Yeah, we're coming for you." Actually right here.
Yeah, we're coming, bitch. Oh, my bitch, we're coming for you too, fucking traitor. Whoa!
Yeah. Tell me these people are feds. Tell me these people are plants and are actually Capitol Police and FBI agents and everything like that are planted here. So the narrative now is that the insurrection was actually caused by people who were paid instigators, because there was proof of that during Antifa and BLM of 2020. So let's try and take that narrative, which there was proof of. There was videos of people dropping off pallets of bricks, people with suspicious bulges in their shirts and their pants, and all people kind of showing up with some identical looking shirts of the same cut, same style, chino pants, same cut, same style, bulges in the same spot. So when that got to be revealed for Antifa and BLM, and you actually see footage of the Antifa and BLM people stopping the brick droppers and the people who want to throw bricks and everything like that. The right wing has decided, well, we're going to use that narrative too. We're going to say it's people that are feds. They're the instigators. They were the ones who were violent first, blah, blah, blah. This is not the own that you think it is. That is not a good narrative for you if you are a conservative or a Trumper, because of the fact that it just says that these people here are sheep. If they didn't intend to be violent that day, if they just wanted to go see Trump speak, and all of the bad actors or the initiators were feds and plants and undercover people, then all of these other people can't think for themselves. They all fell into the group think, the group mentality, and they just fell in line with the quote-unquote sheep in wolves' clothing. Or the wolf in sheep's clothing, rather. That's not a rhetoric you want to be part of. It just means you're brainless. And all you can do is be a follower. And you couldn't avoid going into the building when you saw the windows being broken down and the doors being broken down and people going in. If this guy here with this flag never intended to do this on that day, but he was led into doing it by a Fed, well, then he's a brainless sheep. But look, this guy's trying to kick down doors. This is what the right wing is trying to do right now. They can sit here and show you this part of the footage and say, well, look at this 5 seconds of footage. They're walking neatly down a hallway, allowing themselves to be split up by this rope over here. Yeah, what insurrectionists are going to respect the rope and not just kick it down and blah, blah, blah. And then they'll cut the footage before they show you lead guy on the right trying to kick down doors. That's what's been happening. It happened at the start and it's happening again. Just like the badge that was really a vape pen. This footage here is not Capitol CCTV footage. Again, I want to remind people of that. This is unedited, untouched footage dumped directly from the phones of the people who were doing J6. This was all posted on Parler, or at least recorded with the Parler app. Let's listen on this one. I don't know this one. Whose house? Our house. I mean, this is not peaceful. This is not people that are only just feds or something. This is not Antifa or BLM. Why would they risk this harm for all of that and go to jail when caught and everything like that? Now, in this one, you start to see some smoke or some irritant had been deployed. It's now about 2:50. This guy definitely looks beat up. Hair is wet. Jacket is dusty. This is what J6 was about. And people, patriots, quote unquote, Trumpers, yes, they did try to protect their faces and everything. They did try to hide their identity. They did become braggers and stream and capture the damage they had done and the things that they stole. We've seen proof that these, there was the person who stole Nancy Pelosi's laptop and that was taking forever to recover. And yeah, you could see this footage of the cops over here. You're like, okay, well, the cops aren't doing anything. Clearly, these people are all feds because the cops aren't doing anything, or this is peaceful because the cops aren't doing anything. You saw how few people are here compared to the amount of people. They might be under orders right now to try not to escalate the situation. I mean, they're here already. This guy's dressed as a Roman gladiator. You could show this footage of the cops milling around and say, oh, well, this was peaceful. This is now an hour into the breach. Right now, these people aren't doing anything. However, they're still all guilty. Nobody's trying to spear this cop with a flag or anything, but it doesn't mean that these people aren't guilty. They're already guilty being there. And look, here you go. You can show this footage and show some of the cops kind of just standing around, outgunned, outmanned, just kind of seeing what's going on and everything. This was 309. Now look at this, 311. Look at this right here. Bear spray being deployed. This isn't CCTV footage. This is phone footage. You hear the cops screaming. You can see people trying to take their shields. You see them trying to push them back. Something was thrown at a helmet of a cop in the back. Bear spray several times. The face masks are orange with it. Yeah, that one's only a second. That's useless. Let's see what's going on in this one.
The cops themselves have already gone down from tear gas. They're all fucked up. They're done fighting. They're done fighting.
Talk of fire extinguishers. Fire alarms are going off. So, again, like I said, this is not negated by that right there. It doesn't unring that bell. It doesn't take away the bear spray. Oh, and look, now we're back with the violence again. 313 inside the Capitol. The cops desperately want to try to pull these doors closed. They're nightsticking the people back, and a push starts right at the end of the video there. Here's them deep within the building. That looks like a lobby area. Outside. Okay, look, people talking to cops. Oh, wonderful. People are potentially talking to cops over here. Oh, I guess it was peaceful. I guess the cops were in on it, or they were patriots or something, because, you know, there's a cop right over there. But then here's a MAGA guy, so obviously bad stuff can't be happening. Well, we just saw the bad stuff. They don't cancel out. But the right wing will try to tell you this. Oh, and here we go. Look at this office wrecked. This footage has been shown around when it comes to J6 stuff. This is directly from the phone of a person did it, and this is late. This is 5 o'clock. This is near the end of it all, and these people are in a wrecked office. Probably on their way out. I think what they do after this is they start to file out that window. So again, don't fall for it. Don't fall for the rhetoric. Don't fall for the gaslighting. Wait and see how some of the fact-checking turns out, like the badge/vape thing. You're gonna see a lot of that. You need to rise above the fray and remember what you saw on J6. You need to remember about the parlor scrape and dump. This is unedited footage from the people who lived it. If you think, oh, well, you know, the official footage can be manipulated, maybe they just want to tell us something, tell a story and narrative, you know, whether it's right or left, blah, blah, blah. Just come over here and look at all this stuff for yourself. This is from the people who were there. So be careful, be vigilant, watch the misinformation, and be ready to see the counter show up for it just a few hours later, just like we saw with Qanon Shaman not being a Trumper, just like we saw with the Dishonored logo not being a hammer and sickle, just like we saw The one guy having a shirt that supposedly said Antifa, but when in reality it was cropped and it actually said Antifa sucks. You're going to see a lot of that. Protect your brain. Remember what you saw that day. And just wait for more misinformation. Nothing will change about J6. Nothing at all. No matter what weird, creepy speaker Johnson with no bank account, but supposedly paying the sub for the Covenant Eyes app and running around with an $18,000 watch. But yeah, he has no bank account and he's a man of modest means. Stay the course, people. Don't forget. Political Napalm out.